Ladies and gentlemen,
Hello.
we are live. Welcome to Relaxed Retro Talk. I am Dukey03.
And I am DG Online. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks.
Episode 7.
Episode 7.
How did we get to 7? This
I don't know.
the podcast started as an idea. It was like, hey man, you want to hang out and play video games? We can talk a little bit. And then here we are, we're doing a podcast.
yeah. If you watch, what was it, episodes 1 through 4 were just us playing like
4.
Mario games, because we never really played through the Mario games, so we were like, let's just do those and hang out.
Maybe start on episode 3 or 4. The first couple
The first 2 were a little rough skis. But today, the original plan was to just talk about video game box art, but I just finished watching the new Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 9, and it came out last year, I think. For me, Star Wars and Christmas, and even Star Trek and Christmas, have always gone hand in hand, and I think it's because a lot of times I would spend Christmas at, like, family and stuff, and I was, like, way younger than most of my relatives. And I would just sit in the living room, and there was always, like, the 12 Days of Spacemas, right? So it was just back-to-back Star Trek and Star Wars movies. So I don't know, December has always been, like, Star Wars and Star Trek to me. So
Absolutely.
So I started playing Battlefront 2. I haven't played that pretty much since it came out. And I started playing that again. And I was like, I kind of got the itch to do some watch Star Wars. Like, I never saw the latest movie. I don't think I'll ever watch the Han Solo one. I heard that was not very good at all. But I started watching this one, and I was like, you know what? Do you think we could talk about that a little bit? Because there were definitely some things.
I don't like Star Wars at all. I don't know if we can talk about Star Wars even a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm pointing to my shirt that I'm wearing.
Yeah,
right
it's a good thing you put that shirt on, because we just kind of out of the blue
that's a happy accident, actually.
We just decided out of the blue that we were going to talk about it. Oh yeah, I have mine. We bought ours together at, like, some weird thrift store. It was like a mini mall. I don't know what it was. It was really weird.
It was one of those. It definitely wasn't a guy selling art out of the back of his car. It was. Yeah, it was weird. Here's the thing, okay, and we kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but I, as a lifelong Star Wars fan, as someone who's spent more money than I'm willing to, I have this and this are both pieces of Star Wars art.
Oh yeah, I forgot the Death Star clock.
I gotta say, I was not happy with the past. The Last Jedi. I don't even remember. I don't even remember the names of them. That's how bad it is. Episode 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I don't remember any of the names either.
They had so much potential, and this is spoiler free for Mandalorian season 2.
Because I haven't seen any of the Mandalorian.
That's right. And all I'm gonna say is, if they would have just hired Jon Favreau, they could have just fixed the problem. Just hire Jon Favreau for anything, and he will fix everything.
That's funny.
The Mandalorian season 2, as a series, was infinitely better than the 3 trilogy, the 3 new movies of the trilogy.
Really, hey?
The episode 7, I always felt like, okay, they made the new movie. They had to shake off the rust a little bit. They had to reintroduce the Star Wars universe, so they kind of just played it safe, and they went with basically the story for A New Hope. Basically.
Yeah, it was super weird that they did that. You
could draw the lines between the 2 movies.
The nice thing, though, was, like, the new stuff that was there was good. Like, I really did enjoy the new stuff that they brought in, for the most part. Like, there's a lot of Star Wars fans that absolutely hate the new trilogy, and I'm not in that boat. Like, I do really I liked 7, sorry. Like you, I don't remember the names. At all. I liked 7, and I really liked 8. 8 was probably the best of the new ones. And then from the day it came out, even the guys that were, like, super diehard fans about these new 2, they were like, don't watch it. Like they said it was really bad. So
Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker.
See, I only knew the name of The Last Jedi. That's the only one I knew the name of. And I just watched Rise of Skywalker. I
just watched it. That's what I'm talking about.
I watched it just 3 hours ago.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't go so far to say that I hate
No,
them.
I didn't hate it.
They are Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can hate them if you're a fan of Star Wars. You can hate some of the decisions they made. You can hate some of the what happens in it. Super Leia flying through space.
That was the only
decision.
thing I hated about the second one, the second new one, was Super
But I
Leia.
mean, I was just as pumped for 7, 8, and 9 as I was pumped for 1, 2, and 3. Right, and 1, 2, and 3 had the same problem, and maybe it's because I've placed Star Wars up on a pedestal.
And that's
4,
I think what a lot of people have done, and that's kind of why there's that disappointment. But I think a big problem, like you said, is the hype. But for me, it was just disappointment. Like, my biggest thing with the new movie, Episode 9, I keep calling it the new movie because I just watched it, but it came out last year.
Movie.
Yeah, newest mainline movie.
Yeah.
Is the writing is so bad. Like, there's parts, like, the biggest example is they're after this, like, dagger, or they find this dagger that'll give them the location of, I'm gonna call it, like, the Tesseract that tells them where Emperor Palpatine, first of all, why is he back at all? But Emperor Palpatine's, like, where he's staying now. And they find this ancient dagger, and I'm like, all right, I'm along for the ride. Like, the journey is great story. I'm still wanting to know what happens. And then they're like something Endor, blah blah blah. So I'm like, oh cool, they're gonna go back to Endor, and they're at Endor, and you see like there's these people that are living there that are ex stormtroopers and stuff. That was all super cool. And then anyways, she's holding up this ancient dagger. All right, that gives the location of the ancient Sith headquarters.
Yeah, we have to focus on the word ancient.
She's holding it up to the Death Star wreckage, which happened maybe 60 years ago in the movie's chronology.
Not even, I don't think it was even that long ago, because you've got Han Solo in the first one, and while he's not young and spry anymore, he's not old and decrepit either.
Yeah, but it'd be like 30 to 50 probably.
Yeah, 30ish. Yeah.
And she's holding this dagger up to find, like, because it's got this thing that pulls out, and it's like she's trying to find like a indicator to show where this location would be. She's holding it up to the wreckage of the Death Star, which fell like 30 years ago. And she's like, there it is. It lines up with the wreckage of the Death Star. How does that make any sense at all? There's nothing about that makes any sense at all. It's so dumb. It's awful. And there's so many little moments like that. And the other thing is, like, it has what I call, like, Dragon Ball GT syndrome. Like, Dragon Ball, all the time they'd be fighting someone, and they'd lose, and then they'd come back, they'd learn something, they'd come back, use what they've learned, what they've acquired, and use that to defeat them. Dragon Ball GT and this new Star Wars movie, they're just like, oh yeah, now I have this power! like that happens so many times.
Hang on one quick moment. Just let me get my plot armor on.
Yeah, there's so much of that. It's so dumb that they do that stuff. And they're like, I liked the idea of the fleet. Like, all of a sudden this fleet's like this, like a billion Star Destroyers, all as powerful as a Death Star with that gun on the bottom. And it's all controlled by like a remote control antenna on the planet. And then they're like, oh, it's going to be the whole Return of the Jedi thing, right? You have to take it out on the land in order to disable all the ships, which still is a bad idea. Like, why would you have all the ships controlled with a remote control
from a single place?
Yeah. And then they're like, aha, no, you don't, rebels. We have it on our ship as well, our one ship. So you destroy one ship and they all fall.
We were ready for it this time.
Yeah, now we have 2 remote controls.
You know what? It's frustrating because, and again, I'm not going to give any details about the Mandalorian season 2, but you watch Mandalorian season 2, and that is what they could have done with the movies. They could have taken the series, okay? They could have taken the series of the Mandalorian and cut it into 3 movies.
Yeah.
And that could have been episodes 7, 8, and 9, and it would have just destroyed the box office, 100%.
Yeah, I think what people wanted to see out of this new trilogy was a new story. They wanted to see cameos are okay, but it stuck too much Like it was like this. Oh, another thing about this episode 9 was, I bet if you looked at half the script, it was just one-liners from previous Star Wars movies. That was so dumb.
It was, yeah. I don't really have a say. By the time the ending of The Rise of Skywalker came around, and the last line spoken in the movie, and I won't give it away, because if you still want to go and watch it, I think you should. I think you should watch it if you're a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the piece that kills me is that you can tell what they wanted to do, and then I think if I had to wager a guess, they had a really good idea, and then studio execs were like, but you know what would be a better idea? If you sent Leia rocketing through space, and then she was okay at the end.
Yeah. It was so dumb, man.
It feels like they were like, here's a great idea, and they were like, this is great. You know the movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith?
Yeah, baby. That's a good movie.
So the movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith, I can't remember the details here, and unfortunately I wasn't prepared enough to get into this. I didn't think about looking up Wild Wild West podcast.
I haven't seen it in years.
I'm just saying.
So you can tell me anything about the movie, and I would.
But here's the thing, okay? So I remember watching this documentary or this interview where they were like talking about, like, you know what we need in this movie is a mechanical spider, right? And they were like, no, this is dumb. We're not going to do this. And then Wild Wild West came out. And guess what they fought? A giant mechanical spider.
Yeah, that was
it's just like that studio exec wanted to see a big robot spider in a movie, and then it just gets shoved into a Western movie.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So that's what happens is they probably did have a good story, because you can tell there's these specific points.
There's
in
parts
7,
in
8,
it
9,
that are so good.
where it's like, this is great, and then it's almost like they took it and they're like, this is a really good idea, but we could make it better if we put a robot spider in it.
Yeah.
And they just kind of just tweak it, and they just turn it a little bit too far to the left, and then
they do that over and over again. That's the other thing.
Yeah, constant, just throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, we talked about Kylo Ren's arc, right?
Yeah.
So all through the series, you're like, Kylo Ren, he's this bad guy, and he's gonna overthrow the Sith side of the house and all of this stuff, and then at the end, he's just a...
Yeah, it has that. He has his big redemption at the end, and it would have been so much better if him and Rey would have had, like, their happy ending to seal the deal,
or take them both out, or something. Like, do something.
Mm-hmm.
So anything. But they basically it's almost
it's
like
they couldn't decide what they wanted to do.
And that's what I'm saying is it feels, the way that the movies came out at the end, it feels like they had studio execs fighting. They had studio execs fighting about, like, oh, this is what we should do, and, well, I'm the one with the money, so we're gonna do it this way, and then you're left with this awful decision.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I will say,
and it's unfortunate.
I will say none of them were terrible. Like, I didn't hate any of them.
No.
I enjoyed watching it. There was just it made me mad that people were paid to write this movie. People that are paid to write things wrote this movie and went with this as their decision.
Yeah, I'm not rushing out to go and watch them again. And it's funny that you say you watch Star Wars at Christmas time, because I do the exact same thing. But
oh, really?
I watch 4, then I watch 5. If I still am watching Star Wars, if I still have time to watch movies, which I don't so much anymore, I'll watch 6, and then I'll rewind back and watch episodes 2 and 3.
I think frick, now I can't remember, because it was last year or the year before I did rewatch the original trilogy, or the the prequel trilogy, because everybody, like, some people I worked with were like, they're not that bad, and I can't remember, one of them I used to hate 2 and 3, or 1 and 2. I always liked 3.
3 was good. Yeah. 2 was good too. It just had a lot of filler.
Yeah, one of them was bad. Like, one and 2 was good, that I remembered wrong, and the other one was bad that I remembered wrong. But I can't remember which one. But
one wasn't great. What the problem with episode 1 was that all of the action in the movie was basically Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul. That was the action, basically. And then you had the I almost said podcasting race. Then you had the pod race, right? You had the pod race, and you had that fight with Darth Maul. Those were awesome. That fight scene with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan against Darth Maul, probably one of my ultimate all-time favorite fights.
Darth Maul's so cool.
But the problem was they tied a bow on it. They killed him off, and he was gone. Then that was that, right?
He's back
they
now.
Could have taken Darth Maul. Well, yeah, they could have taken.
They should have put him in episode 2.
They could have carried him straight through this. He didn't have to die.
Yeah.
Right? They could have made it so that he struck down Qui-Gon Jinn and got away.
Yeah, it would have been a way bigger setup for the second movie.
And then because the problem is there's so much of a gap between episode 1 and episode 2 that you've got the Clone Wars animated series that fills the gap in between those two movies.
2 and 3 was where the Clone Wars happened.
I'm sorry. You've got that filling in between 2 and 3, but the gap between episodes 1 and 2, there's a lot of stuff happening because now we're introduced to Lord Dooku, now we're introduced to General Grievous, now we're introduced to all of these different characters that didn't exist before with really no intro to them whatsoever, who have absolutely awesome stories to them.
Yeah.
They could have just picked one and rolled with it.
You know what I hated?
Instead, we're kind of on this fluffy, like it just doesn't fit. Sorry.
This is the whole thing about Star Wars past episode 2 or episode 2 and on when it comes to like when they were released. It's not good when the most exciting things about your universe happens in between all the movies. Like, the end of Star Wars Episode 2 was like, all right, baby, the Clone Wars, let's begin.
Here it is.
And everyone's like, dude, yes, because Obi-Wan, remember Yoda or Obi-Wan are talking about how they fought with Anakin. They fought with Anakin by their side during the Clone Wars, and you're like, fuck yeah, baby. And then you see, like, none of the Clone Wars in the movies at all.
It basically was like, here's the two armies, right? And it was like,
and then the credits.
Right, here they go.
Yes. And then the third one's like, well, the Clone Wars are now almost over. And it's like, why would you do that?
The movie's called The Clone Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so dumb, man.
And I have to say, honestly, it feels like studio decisions. Every single time. The reason why I can say that with almost certainty, I don't know, because obviously I don't think anyone will ever know if that's the reason why the script writers will stick to that. That's what they had, and the studios will stick to that's what they wanted to go with. But the truth of the matter is you look at what they did with The Mandalorian, and that series, while not a Star Wars movie, embodies the Star Wars universe way more than any of the new movies. And I would almost include 1, 2, and 3. The only exception 3 gets is the Battle of Mustafar between Obi-Wan and Anakin, because that is like my all-time favorite Star Wars fight scene of all time.
Good, man.
Right?
That whole episode 3 was so good. If they could have had that energy,
I liked it. I don't know.
If they could have had that energy through all, that's why I thought these new movies were gonna really go above and beyond, because I thought episode 3 they finally got it. They captured that Star Wars
they needed
feel.
To do.
Yeah.
No.
But let's get to some. If you got chat questions now for Star Wars. Let's get to that.
I just had a couple points, and so I Gamer Grappin chat. Good to see you. I have a couple things here that this is from Lord Zabu says episode 7, A New Hope, Part 2.
Yeah.
And then an old hope, faded hope, no hope,
another hope,
another hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and episode 7, 8, and 9 to be the Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy. It's just a lot of discussion. Then the last one from Lord Zabu here saying, when I started it on Netflix because I never bothered with the theater, I was like, I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh. See, I liked the first two, but the first one, like, when we were me and you were talking before the podcast, you were like, we were both commenting on how episode 7 had a lot of fucking references to the previous ones, and you were like, and you said, you know what, that's good, they're getting it all out of their system, and now it's going to be great new stuff, and I thought that too, and then the second one was, for the most part, really good. And
it was
and
pretty
then
decent.
And then this third one was like back to that first one. It was they're trying to do Return of the Jedi again, and not only that, but they were just quoting past movies the whole movie, which was super weird.
I don't know. I mean, it's really funny. It's just from start to finish. It's like a roller coaster. It's like don't worry. Okay, and you're just kind of building. It's like, don't worry, we're coming down. It's going to be exciting. Just wait. And then you kind of go like this. It's like, whoop, no, more building.
Yeah,
here we go. We're going back up again.
Very
whoop,
true.
No, more building. and it never really struck that shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know what?
You don't get,
going back and sorry, go ahead.
You don't really get the climax that you think you were gonna get.
No, exactly. I was gonna say, going back and watching the original trilogy, I remember how much I did not like Return of the Jedi.
Same.
Episode 6 just didn't do it for me.
It drags forever.
It's the exact same reasons we're talking about with the rest of them. They try to cram so much in there. They're like, this would be a great idea, and I think it's studio influence, right? Because when you talk about the original stories, and the other thing I had said to you kind of offline here too is, they could have done anything with the new movies.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many books. There were comics. There was fan fiction. There was other ideas. There was stuff that was generated that we're far enough down the path now that it would have been really easy for them to take any one of those things. I would have rathered them take 7, 8, and 9 and not have anything to do with Luke Skywalker, with Leia, with Han, with any of those people.
Like I said, throw some cameos in, which would be cool. Like, could you imagine if they waited till the second or even this third movie, the final showdown, and all of a sudden fucking Han Solo and these guys show up to help him out? That would have been such a bigger payoff. You have these established new characters through 2.5 new movies, and then all of a sudden these old guys start showing up just for the final hurrah. That would have been way better.
Absolutely. Anything. Oh, you know what? Even better. I always felt that the cameo for the original crew should have been on a holotape.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It could have been that much further into the future.
Yeah, they could have been like 200, 300 years into the future, right? They could still have had, and I think that was their original plan, because you have these relics where there's like these old busted down Star Destroyers and these old everything, and they're all dirt put into the sand, and it feels like it's hundreds of years in the future, but then, like I said, it's like 30 to
ago. 50. They're always like, I fought with you in the old wars. It's like the old wars. It's like saying the Gulf War was the old wars. Nobody. And why don't they call it like the Galactic whatever war, not the fucking old wars? Like, give it a name.
I remember long ago when I played you on the PS1.
The old consoles. Yeah,
the old consoles. It's just it's too much. I think that was their original plan, was to put it way in the future, and then someone was like, wait. Do you realize how much we could sell if we put Harrison Ford in this thing?
Yeah.
Do you realize how much we could sell if we put Luke Skywalker in this thing?
And murdered all of them?
And Mark Hamill even flat out said he did not like the way that he was.
Yeah, I remember that. That was after the second one came out.
He was like, "This is ridiculous." Yeah, right? All that they would have had to do is fast forward time beyond these guys being alive, show them in a holodeck, show them in anything.
Luke could have been a Force ghost and showed up every now and like twice in the whole franchise.
There was so much that they could have done with that without actually shoehorning them in, and I feel like that's why we got what we got, because they were shoehorned in at the end of the day. That's what ended up happening with it, as far as I'm concerned. Now again, I'll flat out tell you, I didn't hate those movies.
No,
but I'm not rushing off to go and watch them again. If I'm showing my kids Star Wars, we're watching episodes 4, episodes 5, maybe episode 6, and then rewinding to episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah.
My default watching order is 4, 2, 3, 5, 5, 2, 3, 6.
Oh, really?
That is the way that I watch them.
I go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then whatever the new ones are. 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just got Vector said he saw do you mean like episode 2? I think he said means episode 2. In theaters instead of whatever popular movie was out at the time. He said it was like Spider-Man or something, and he regrets it to this day. And then he figures the whole Clone Wars thing was just so they could do merchandising and the cartoon show.
Yeah.
I do remember the Cartoon Network show being like pretty good, like the straight up animated one that looked like Samurai Jack.
It's great.
That one was good.
Actually, you know what? Wait a second. I don't know if I saw that one.
That one was good.
The one I saw was like the computer.
Yeah, there's the CG one, which I think isn't as good because it's very like stretched out. Like there's like fucking more seasons of that than there is of any other Star Wars media. But the Clone Wars one, it was like Samurai Jack animation, and each episode was basically just a battle. Like the episodes were like 15 minutes long. There were like 10 episodes, and it showed each main battle during the Clone Wars, and it was so well done, man.
for somebody like me who claims to be a Star Wars fan, I don't really watch a lot of like the shows.
Extra, same. I don't really.
Like people are saying Star Wars Rebels is a decent
That's
show.
what I heard too. I've never seen an episode.
I've never actually watched an episode of it. The 22-minute animated series ones aren't really up my stuff, and I haven't finished the Clone Wars series, but it is good.
Yeah, I did watch a lot of that. Right. I watched like the first 4 seasons, I think, of that one.
That's a commitment. If you're gonna watch those, that's a commitment. But I mean, you need to, because again, that's where they're putting the story. I wish they'd put the story in the movie,
in the fucking movies.
The side shows. But the thing is, I think they get a lot more creative freedom in those side shows than they do in the movies
themselves. Too. Yeah,
and I think that's why we end up getting that. So, Finney's saying that it sounds like we're a couple of old guys complaining, and he's 120%.
No, I'm just saying that it could have been so much better. I think it was still good, like the 3 new ones. Other than that third one, the writing was just bad. Like, there were just little things in there that were like really dumb and never made sense. But other than that, I did enjoy all of them. But I
don't think we're old guys complaining. I think we're just disappointed.
Look, that's all it is. That's all it is.
Look, we're not mad. We're just really disappointed.
Yeah. And then Vector says he feels The Last Jedi was a tire fire and Rise of Skywalker was damage control. No, I don't think it was that bad.
I think it was the other way around, to be honest with you.
I think The Last Jedi, I remember walking out of the theaters when I saw The Last Jedi. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I have a phobia of theaters. I'm afraid of theaters. I only go to like maybe one movie every like 5 to 7 years.
I didn't know that.
And so if it's a Star Wars movie, I'm probably going to see it in the theaters. I saw that movie. I remember walking out of the theater being like, I think that was better than... Okay, I can't even say this. But this is what I said. I don't know if it was Finney or Paul that was with me, but I walked out of the theater and I said, you know what? Guys, I think this is better than The Empire Strikes Back. This is the best. Oh. This is the best Star Wars movie of all time.
Oh, that hurts.
I really liked it. I really liked it.
It was no, absolutely. I disagree with your ranking.
No, I can't now. No, clear. Now it's probably like my 3rd or 4th favorite now.
But it is. You know what? I think I would do.
Actually, I think I like it better than A New Hope.
A New Hope will always claim my number 1. Simply because
really? Number 1?
It just has that. It has that like first step into Star Wars, right? It's not for the story. It's not for anything other than the fact that it's purely just, that feeling, right?
Yeah. It does have it gives you a feeling. Yeah,
it's like I'm 6 years old again watching the show. 4, 5, 3. Then I would go 8 probably after that. And the reason for 8 was so good. I gotta say, even though they have Luke in what he is and now in the future, that last scene where Kylo's like, "I want every gun trained on that man."
That one was good.
It was really well. Out of the new trilogy, it was miles ahead of the other two. Miles ahead. The only scene, if I could cut it, I would cut Space Leia out of it.
Yeah, that's it. If you took that out, the whole movie's fucking really good. Okay. I think I would rank them like Empire Strikes Back, and then I don't know, man. It might be 8. It might be 8. I really liked that movie.
That's fair as long as you don't. As long as Empire Strikes Back it cannot be lower than 2 on your list.
I think the other thing is I don't think I've watched that one twice yet. So it's still the memory of me watching it that first time in the theaters. I think is still in my head.
Empire had everything, and it didn't have a lot of that kind of crappy filler, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Boba Fett, you've got Vader, and when they come into like they're like, finally we're safe. Lando's got our back. No big deal. And they open the door and boom, knocked out. Like. Absolutely.
He's at a dinner party with Vader.
Yeah. Gamer Gramp just said Rogue One was great, in my opinion.
That one was good.
100% agree.
That was a good one.
Rogue One was so good. And the final scene in Rogue One where Vader's just walking through that hallway, just destroying everything.
Mm-hmm. That was a good movie. I forgot about that one a lot. I need to rewatch that one.
I do. The problem Rogue One has is it wasn't part of the series, right? It was one of these side movies.
Spin-off, yeah.
They did Rogue One, and then they did Solo.
I heard Solo was so bad.
It was not great. It really wasn't. It wasn't. Again, it's not. I hate it. They just don't. They don't have the essence of Han Solo in that movie.
Should I watch it though?
They tried too hard. I think it's worth a watch.
Oh, okay. I'll watch it.
It's not worth buying it, and it's not worth going to the theater. But stream it, right? Because it's on Disney Plus or wherever you can find it, right? But I mean, watch the movie because I even the new ones, it's worth the watch. Oh, they're good.
Other than the little stupid things in there,
but just set your expectations, right? The problem I think we have with new Star Wars movies is we're like, these movies were great, I can't wait for this new one, and then it comes out and it's like, it was okay, I guess. And because it wasn't great, it makes it bad.
But is it that okay, it's okay, I guess, or is it, I'm not 6 years old anymore? You know what I mean?
No.
Is it though?
You know what? It's not, because you watch The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, like, I guess. Yes! I haven't seen it. I haven't seen The Mandalorian, so
you gotta watch it.
No, okay, I get you. I
can't say anything, but you watch that, and we'll revisit this topic again down the road. Sorry, okay. I keep cutting your chat off because I'm hyped.
No worries. And then the only other thing is, Vector really hated the new ones. It sounds like, and then he said the reason that the original Clone Wars cartoon looked like Samurai Jack is because it was done by the guys that made Samurai Jack.
Oh, no kidding.
I didn't know
I'm going to have to look that up.
It's really good. It's only like 10 episodes, and they're like 15
anytime
minutes.
I ever hear anything Clone Wars cartoon related, it's always that animated, the CGI one.
Yeah.
I got to say, I don't remember the cartoon one at all, so I'm going to have to go back and
check. He said he liked Last Jedi when I saw it, but he's not going to disagree with fan opinion on it. People hated it. Yeah, I don't get the hate for that one because that one was so good.
Well, I get the hate because honestly, a lot of Star Wars fans are just you will never make them happy.
That's true.
There's a scene in The Simpsons where they're like grilling the Itchy and Scratchy creators. Mm-hmm. Do you remember this?
No.
They're like, excuse me, when Itchy's playing Scratchy's rib cage like a xylophone, he strikes the bone twice, but it makes two different tones. Can you actually explain why this makes sense? I mean, and whose head should roll for this mistake? And that is the thing that a lot of honestly, and I'm not saying
Star Wars. It's not just Star Wars.
It's everything. You can't make everybody happy. People are going to be upset with it. I have watched movies where the critics, the internet, have said this movie's terrible. We hate it, right?
Oh, and I end up loving it.
You know what? We were talking about this a few days ago. We were talking about the movie Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser. Mm-hmm. Okay,
you know what?
Everybody hated that movie. I love it. It's campy as hell, but I love it.
Because I remember I was like, I don't remember this movie, and then you showed me that scene. And I was like, that's funny. But then I was like, oh, this is the one with Elizabeth Hurley. This was a terrible movie. I hated it. I watched it when it came out on video. I rented it and I hated it. But it obviously has some funny scenes in it.
It's not going to win any Emmys or whatever.
I'd like to rewatch it, to be honest.
What do movie people win? Golden Globes? What is it? Academy Awards? Whatever it is.
Razzies.
They're not going to win one of those.
No.
But I tell you, I can still enjoy it, even though it's super campy, and that's kind of where it goes. For me in Star Wars, it doesn't have to blow my socks off, but please don't do stuff like that.
Yeah,
you don't have to shoehorn in stuff just to pander to me. Mm-hmm. Don't put Luke Skywalker in unless it makes sense to the story. They're like, we're gonna make a lot of money if we put Luke Skywalker in this, so we're gonna do that. No, that's the problem, is that the fans can see through those decisions.
Yeah.
And as soon as the veil's lifted on that, then the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah. Kind of
put him on a holodeck, make him a Force ghost. I completely agree with either one of those decisions. Mm-hmm. But to actually shoehorn him into the movie, Luke Skywalker being in the movie doesn't even kill that bad.
No, it doesn't.
Shoehorning the damn Emperor in.
That was stupid. That was so dumb.
Snoke the bad guy. You already built him up to be the bad guy.
But it was me. I was Snoke all along.
I was pulling the strings.
That was so dumb. And he's got these things, these little chambers that he's creating more Snokes. What? Why?
And they don't explain it.
No,
not at all.
And I remember the hype after the first movie. The hype after the first movie, everybody was leaving the theaters like, dude, I wonder who Snoke is.
Snoke guy.
Yeah, what did he do? And then they're like, he gone.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You liked Snoke?
This is the only.
He's dead now.
This is the only new character that you wanted to know his backstory. Yeah, he doesn't have one. He's a puppet, literally. He's literally a puppet.
The movie, the studio execs are like, sorry, how much is that? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get him out of here. I want the Emperor.
A weird thing. Off topic, kind of, but you mentioned Bedazzled and how like campy but funny. You know what I miss? I miss those movies, and maybe they still make them. I don't watch a lot of movies now. Where like if you, for example, like Naked Gun, the Airplane movies, where literally every line of dialogue is fucking hilarious. Like you're never not laughing. There's never not a stupid thing said in the movie. I miss those movies. Shots. Yes, all those movies. I miss those so much. Airplane is like one of my favorite movies of all time because it's just like every time you watch it you find something else that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like you are parked like right at the start of the movie they're like do not park in the red zone. If you park in the red zone you will be towed. And then there's a girl's voice on the intercom. No, it is the blue zone. If you park in the red zone, that is where you are supposed to park. You will be towed if you park in the blue zone. And it's like they're arguing over the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren were completely like they're like those are the Knights of Ren, and then you just see them like 4 times throughout the entire thing and then they're dead. It's like what?
There was so much on the same airplane cruise control where the inflatable pilots
yes and they're just
I gotta say it is.
I miss those movies.
We need to revisit this topic after you watch The Mandalorian, and then I'd like.
Yeah, we will. We'll do one on The Mandalorian. But we should swing into game box art. That was what we were originally doing the podcast on.
The OG topic.
So we'll start off. I think we're gonna start off with Mega Man stuff. So bear with me. I do have to edit images in while we're doing this, but it shouldn't be too bad. So we're gonna start with Mega Man box art. We've got who I like to call like Gerpy Mega Man. I don't know. He's like this.
OG Mega Man.
Yeah, the original NES box art for the first Mega Man ever. And it looks
that's this one right here.
Freaking terrible. And then you've got Rockman, which looks like awesome. I don't know. He's there. He's got all the Robot Masters are on the screen. He's ready to throw down. It looks good. But I don't know why they would have made it. I don't know why they would have done that. You said you were watching like a bit of a documentary or something. So go into detail there. I'm gonna take these down.
There's a I threw some box art on the screen, then I took it down. It just didn't look good. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna say.
Except the whole fucking screen.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Go and Google these things.
Yeah,
just check them out
because it looks terrible.
Because I gotta tell you. So Mega Man had 4 different pieces of box art. Okay, there was 4 pieces. There was the North American, there was the Japanese, and then there was the 2 European ones.
Oh, okay? Those ones were close.
Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2.
Oh, okay. The
Mega Man 2. Not
the Mega Man. The European ones were good too, weren't they? I remember seeing them.
Kind of. So for Mega Man 2, the European one had Mega Man in like a chromed out suit. Oh. Like he was super chrome.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different Mega Man 2 one. Or Mega Man European cover.
He very much was not blue. He's very silver. He did have the Buster arm.
Okay, yeah, that's the one. It's like kind of a mix of the two, right? Is that what it...
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember seeing it.
Yes. And then you have the Japanese box art where you have actual... like the Rockman. You have actual Mega Man with the Robot Masters in it, and then you have Mega Man 2 in North America. And it's an iconic box art piece. You have to look this up, but it's Mega Man holding his pistol, aiming it at Quick Man. Shoot again.
The Mega Pistol.
The Mega Pistol. And so what happens? The guy who drew, his name was Mark Erickson. By the way, so Mark Erickson is, and I was watching this documentary. He did you know the guy who drew the Mega Man 2 box art? He also did the box art for Prisoner of War. He did the box art for
POW is good. That was good.
He did one of the Strider games.
Space Harrier, okay. I can see it.
Afterburner 2, Tetris. He drew all of these, and he also did the first 8 issues of GamePro. The inaugural issue of GamePro following 7 issues, he drew the art for the cover on all of them.
I could see that, but those covers looked terrible of the games. Or are you saying Nintendo Power or Game Pro?
Game Pro.
Oh, okay,
Game
never
Pro.
mind. I was thinking Nintendo Power.
Yeah,
the Nintendo Power first issues were terrible looking.
Go back and check them out. Mark Erickson, awesome artist. So he drew the box art for Mega Man 2, and he catches heat for it, obviously, because Mega Man doesn't have a pistol. He's got a Buster on.
Yeah, why would he do it?
And so what happened was what they were talking about is that the Capcom design team made their decisions based on the previous Mega Man box. By the way, the Capcom design team, North America, has no idea what Mega Man is. 0%. They've got no clue, right?
Why didn't they play it?
And basically what he said was he drew Mega Man on what the studio execs were telling him to draw. And he drew it on the box art with a pistol because that's what he was told.
Why is he like
he was told by the studio execs. He said the studio execs told him to draw him with a pistol because they didn't know that he had a Mega Buster on his arm. They showed him some screen caps from the game. I mean, think about this. We're talking about 1988, 88, 89.
Yeah,
so
I think 88.
It's not like the computer graphics.
89
like
or 87 it was.
Yeah, it's not like they have something generated. So they show him some stills of the game.
A picture they took with the camera on the screen.
he couldn't see that he has a Mega Buster on his arm. And so basically the studio execs were like, yeah, draw him with a pistol. And he's like, all right, fair enough.
All right, here's what we need from you. We need a guy in blue with a pistol taking a shit. Yep. That's all we need. That's what he looks like. Oh no, I'm talking about the first one.
Oh, the OG. Where he's like, okay, so I have some info on the first one. So the first Mega Man box was drawn and painted overnight due to a rushed schedule by an art student friend of the exec team. His name was Keiji Inafune.
Inafune, yeah, that's the creator of Mega Man. Okay. Keiji Inafune.
The producer. So he was an art student friend of his.
Oh.
Did the drawing overnight. Because they were rushed. They had to rush this to production. So it had this horrible rendition dancing Mega Man character
just
in a yellow and blue Hammer Time jumpsuit.
Why?
Waving a pistol.
Why wouldn't they have just used the original Japanese box art? That doesn't even make sense. But yeah, the second one looks much better. Like it's still looks better. Derpy as hell.
So is a pistol. But yeah, so they had Mark Erickson draw him with a pistol. The studio exec specifically asked him to draw it with a pistol.
That's so weird.
Because apparently nobody along the line, including the people who made the game, didn't know that this was not a pistol. It was in fact on his arm. So I gotta say, very, very interesting decision. Then Europe's version was all chrome, looked like a Cyberman from Doctor Who.
Yeah, some of the even like if you go to like the Mega Man 3, the Mega Man 3 North American one looks like Mega Man, at least, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's starting to
it's
get
like
in
a
the right
variant,
thing.
but it looks like Mega Man.
As you fast forward time into the to new systems, and you get into the 90s, the late 90s, the 2000s, obviously people have something to go off of. Artists have something to go off of. But I mean, you think early 80s, there's no computer graphics, there's no anything. I mean, these people were making video games with little sprites and boxes and stuff like that, and saying, okay, this big box is a dragon, so draw a dragon, right? And so the artists didn't really have a whole lot to go off of, but they're the ones that catch all the issues with the box art, right? So this Mark Erickson's been kind of living up to like the worst Mega Man box art ever, and he's like, I just did what they told me to.
Yeah. But at least the Mega Man 2 stuff at least isn't as bad as the Mega Man 1. You know what I mean?
Mega Man 1's so bad.
And then all the Japanese ones look good. Like Rockman 3 looks amazing. You've got like the final boss in the background lurking over them.
This is kind of why we came onto this topic. Somebody had posted in the Discord, and it was brilliant. But I mean, the idea is like the game originates over in Japan. They have the concept art for Japan. They have everything they need over in Japan.
Why not use it
in North America?
Yeah, I don't understand.
You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to just use it across the board either. You can kind of ride in between, but you have reference material. Why wouldn't you just kind of use that? So
yeah, and then if you look at I'm trying to look here. I can't remember what I was gonna say, but yeah. Fast forward to Mega Man 9 and 10. The classic 9 and 10 looked like if you look at Rockman 9 and 10, they look like your typical Japanese Mega Man box art. They look friggin' great. And then it was like they were like, with the North American 9 and 10, they wanted to like harness that classic style, that classic Mega Man 1 and 2 box art style, and they really made it look badass this time, though.
Well, they did a great job by making fun of themselves.
Yeah, so but then like redeeming it almost, like it was like a redemption, like this doesn't have to suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I it's really cool. And then that was also the one that they did the press kit with an actual
NES cartridge
that had the disc, right?
Yeah. The Proto Man, the Mega Man 10 one, like Proto Man looks like fucking Lord Zed, kind of like a cross between Lord Zed and Shredder. Like that's so cool, man. Like all that. Oh, they did such a good job with that.
They did a really, really good job.
And like Dr. Wily kind of has that like Darth Vader look on the Mega Man 9 cover.
Yeah. I gotta say the revisits for 9 and 10 were really, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you go back to OG Mega Man and you look at Mega Man 10 and you can kind of see how far they've come.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And I mean, it's really easy to kind of, say like, oh man, look how brutal these are. But you're talking early 80s.
And let's be real.
They didn't have Photoshop. They didn't have...
I couldn't draw it.
No, they didn't really better than my Superman would have been. I'd tell you that much. But yeah, it's...
And then you've got series, like, if you look at Dragon Quest, like, the box art for Dragon Quest 1 on the NES is, like, absolutely classic. You've got the hero...
Dragon Warrior.
Yeah. Well, no, like, the original, like, NES, or Super Famicom Dragon Quest 1.
The Japanese.
Yeah. You've got the little guy fighting the knight in his armor, the hero fighting the dragon, right? The big dragon. Like that is absolutely classic. But then they redid it in this cool European art style for the new one, like for Dragon Warrior in North America. That one looks almost more badass. And then as you go through the series, like the nice thing about this series is all the covers were pretty badass. Like the North American version and the Japanese one were all really cool. The Japanese version for 2 is actually kind of similar to the North American version of 2, which is kind of cool because you've got the 3 heroes. They're just more like old 80s anime look on the Japanese cover, and then they have that European like medieval art style on the North American release.
So was Toriyama always the artist for the Japanese Dragon Quest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
always, like from day one.
Yeah, and he actually over here he's known for Dragon Ball. Everyone's like, oh, all the Dragon Quest characters just look like Dragon Ball characters, but he actually became famous off of Dragon Quest, and that's when he became famous in Japan, was off of Dragon Quest. And so then when he made his Dragon Ball manga and stuff, people were like, oh, this is the guy that does Dragon Quest, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so here we knew him backwards. Yeah,
because I guess you wouldn't see any of that Dragon Quest components because everything Dragon Warrior is very warrior-esque.
Very like medieval. Like,
you look at that and it's like the barbarian with a big suit of armor holding a giant sword, right? Like,
But my favorite... both of these are fucking amazing covers. The Dragon Quest IV NES cover, you've got the hero, you got both the male and female hero, because I think I can't remember if you could choose male or female in the NES version of 3, but you could in the Game Boy Color and all the remakes. You could choose whether you're a male or female. But Dragon Quest IV, I think in the NES version or Famicom version of Dragon Quest IV, you could choose if you wanted to be male or female right at kind of the start of the game. So it's got both of them right on the cover. My favorite hero out of the whole series is the hero from 4. And then you've got that badass dragon in the background. You've got the castle in the sky, which is kind of what the whole thing is kind of about in the end. Looks great. Right. And then the North American version, Dragon Warrior 4, you've got the Zenithian sword, like, oh my god.
Just a hilt.
Yeah, that looks so cool. And it's like, here we go again, baby. Like, it just gives you that feeling. Like, I had 3 adventures, and now it's like, I'm ready to go back, like, and do this again. Like, oh man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I gotta say, out of the NES box art, the Dragon Warrior set, and it's fun. I had never heard of until you were like, hey, you gotta try this game out. I was like, what is this game? I've never heard of this. Dragon Warrior. It looks like an action game, and then you boot up and it's an RPG. It's like a old school style RPG.
It's the first JRPG. The first.
So I was like, I had literally never heard of this, and then to find out that there are actually 4 of them, is crazy, right? So
yeah,
I gotta say the box art for those games looks really good, and I mean and it's funny because like one of the other ones here we were talking about was the Final Fantasy series of game, right? And the differences between those two as well, and it's kind of the same idea for those early games.
The early ones, it's like redone, still good but different. Yes. Yeah.
Like the OG Final Fantasy box, I like better than the Japanese Famicom version of.
Do you? That one's, it's so close. Like, I do love the North American, like the NES one with the sword and the axe, and then the orb of light or whatever. And then what is in the picture of what is in the orb? It's just like, it's just like a castle and stuff, right?
I think the only real reason why, because if I take the context away and I'm looking at the box art for the Final Fantasy on the Famicom, I don't know what the hell.
That's true.
You just got a guy standing there, right? Like it's just the hero standing
Warrior
there
of light,
Like it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Where if you look at the NES box art for that game, and it kind of tells you a little bit more about
it. Sells it a little better, hey? Like it.
I think so.
You know you're up for an adventure when you're
up for something, obviously, right? But and obviously I can't read what it says, but I can only assume that it says Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it just says Final Fantasy. There, right? And then you got like Final Fantasy 2 or 4, as it's in it was released as 2 here.
Then it just gets shot to hell.
Yeah,
it's like the series. Yeah.
But the covers, it's weird because the Japanese and North American covers kind of go back and forth, because when it comes to Final Fantasy 2 Super NES here, you just got Final Fantasy with a generic looking sword coming down for the T and a red background. That's it.
Yep.
And then it's weird because the Final Fantasy 4 logo really doesn't have a whole lot to do with Final Fantasy 4. None of these characters on the cover look like a single character from Final Fantasy 4. It looks more like what you would have for Final Fantasy 5, because Final Fantasy 5 you got all the job classes, but not a single one of these characters on the cover, other than maybe the girl looks like Rosa, and the guy behind him could be Edge, but none of these characters look like any of the characters from Final Fantasy 4. It's super weird.
And again, and I mean, like, I know we're at the 4th game at this point, so chances are the people picking this game up are ones that have been following through. But if I'm taking the context away, I'm looking at the front, I'm like,
what the fuck
is this game? But I mean, honestly, North America's not doing any better between Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3. You sent me that ad for Final Fantasy 3, right? With the mod that's
the ad, the commercial. Yeah.
Come on, what are you doing?
It's like a claymation Moogle getting like, what is he? He's taking like auditions for the final boss or something.
Auditions for the final boss, and he's just striking them all down. But I mean, like, is it that they thought RPGs would not sell in North America? Is that why they're marketing them this way?
Yeah, I think I gotta
say, they could have literally done anything. The box art for Final Fantasy 2 is so bleeding boring. Mm-hmm. It says Final Fantasy 2. It's got a sword instead of the T. And it's got a red background.
That's it.
That's what it is.
How do you sell your adventure like that?
How do you sell your game like that? adventure. But I mean, you look in Japan, maybe they just didn't have anything to go off of.
Yeah, like the guys importing it, maybe. I don't know.
Doesn't even say anything.
You could have just taken a screenshot from the game, and it would have been more exciting. And then Final Fantasy VI. You look at that Japanese box art. Holy shit!
This is where it gets different. I'm buying this game in Japan.
Yeah.
Tell you that.
You look at the box art for Final Fantasy VI on the Super NES, and then Final Fantasy VI North America, aka Final Fantasy III. It's just a Moogle with a purple shadow on it. I don't know what the fuck that's
exactly the same. They took the Final Fantasy III box art and slapped the Moogle on the front.
That's it.
That's what they did. That's it.
Yeah, and then the sixth one is like you've got the Magitech armor in the foreground. You've got like this city, like this wastelandy city in the background. You've got, oh my god, man, it looks so good. That's probably my favorite out of all the Final Fantasy box art is Final Fantasy VI Japanese version. And then whatever reason, for 7, from pretty much every Final Fantasy from 7 on forward, in Japan, you literally just have the title and you have like the title art that like all the Final Fantasy games have. And that's it. You've got the meteor tiny in the background where it says Final Fantasy VII. Meanwhile, in North America, they're like, you know what, guys? Our box art has been shit lately. Why don't we make the most iconic video game box art of all time instead? And they're like, yeah, why didn't we think of that sooner?
There it is. And you've got that epic moment, Cloud standing in front of the reactors in Midgar. The hand on the hilt of his sword,
ready to go. Yeah.
I mean, just I literally have goosebumps right now talking about that. It is the iconic box art. Like if you want to talk about box art, that's probably where you're going to start. And it's been referenced so many times. We talked about, even you were saying in Yakuza 7, they even referenced.
Yeah, they have it right before the final tower, the Millennium Tower. Ichiban's walking up to the tower, and it gives you that. It's like the opposite direction, but it's the same kind of camera angled up to the tower, and it's like, oh my god, dude.
Like something's going down.
And
right?
and so somebody mentioned to me, I think it was when I was streaming Yakuza 7, that actual scene isn't even in Final Fantasy 7. The original.
Not like that. No.
I didn't even know. I didn't even remember that, but they did put it in the remake, which they had to, really, right?
Yeah. That scene in the original game doesn't look like that. Now they did try, and I mean, and you think about 7, they can only do so much with what they've got.
Yeah, right? But you think they would have had a cutscene of that.
Well, they have that angle with him standing there. He is in very much in his horse hoof hand.
Yeah, horse hoof hand. I never heard it like that. I always call them like puppets, like little puppets.
Oh, he's got horse hooves for hands.
He does.
He's standing there, and he doesn't reach for his sword or anything. He's just kind of standing there, and then the camera pans from behind him, and it goes up to the reactor,
you do see that,
and then you get like the top view of Midgar after that, right? But it's not like it is on the box art. That's for sure.
They really should have done that, but.
Yeah, when they included that in remake, that was kind of that definitive moment that was like, oh, here we
go. Yeah,
it's happening. I love that. And from this point forward, at least through Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, North America knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like Japan didn't even have to try anymore. They're like, it's Final Fantasy.
It's going to sell no matter what. Yeah, I think
you're
probably right.
I'm not wasting any time putting any art on the front of it. Here's the title. It could literally be white with black script. Final Fantasy underneath. Give me money. Yeah,
pretty much. Most of them were like 7 through 9 were all like kind of showing the characters. Like 8 had, I think, Squall, Rhino, and Cypher, I think, on it.
Yes.
I don't remember. 10 was good too. I don't remember what it looked like. I think it was just Yuna with like the water and stuff.
No, it was just Tidus in the water.
Oh, coming out of the water, right? Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. So the North American ones were really good. Like,
did Japan carry the same thing through 10, 11, 12?
Yeah, it's 10, like all
all of them is just the title?
Yeah, it's just that title with that white background. I think 12 if you had the certain limited edition, it had a black background instead of the white one. But yeah, no, they're all pretty much like that moving forward, unfortunately.
That's really weird. I wonder why they did that. But again, maybe simply for the fact that, look, it's a Final Fantasy, buy it.
Yeah.
You're gonna buy it because you like this game, obviously, since we're on number 12. Yeah. You're gonna just pick this one up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put any box art on. I don't have to draw you in.
But then we got all this really bad stuff. Like, let's just go through alphabetical.
Then we started looking. Then we were like, after we kind of talked about the differences between box art, and it is fascinating. This is something that you need to go and you need to search out and just look for your favorite North American box art and find the Japanese equivalent to it, just to see the difference of it. But then we kind of got onto a topic of like some of the worst stuff out there.
Street sports baseball. He looks like he's taking the most difficult shit of his life right now. I shouldn't have came to the Diamond on Diarrhea Tuesday. Yeah. Like, what?
I just Batman Arkham City. Was this Arkham City or is this Arkham Asylum?
I don't know, because you can't see anything in the picture. It's just it's just so giant. Like, what the fuck, man?
Why would you do that? It's the Game of the Year edition, okay. But take all of the words away. Leave Game of the Year edition, take everything else away. Except for the title.
It's just like... It's like if you took a box art and just put stickers all over it.
Why would you do that? That's what it looks like. It's like, please buy the game. It's good.
It's good. Look at all the stickers. It's good. Buy it.
It's so bad. All those words must mean it's good. Yeah, and it's just awful.
And then you've got the classic Sega style title box art with black belt, where it's literally just this random foot hovering out. It's not even coming from the edge of the box. It's hovering.
It's exploding foot.
It's just a foot with an explosion that says black belt. And all the Master System cartridges were pretty much bad. I just took a couple that were maybe worse than others.
This one's probably the worst.
This is probably the worst. But they were all just that white checkerboard thing. Like, why? Like, do something. And then Bomberman. What is this? The TurboGrafx one? This kind of suffers from the same thing as Mega Man, where it's like, do they not know what Bomberman like is? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Well, it's super weird.
It's just, I you know what? I can't even make something up. I don't know.
It's derpy.
Why would they do that with the eyes? It would have been fine if they would have just put the little U-shaped eyes in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can't. I don't even think you can play. Oh no! In the first TurboGrafx one, you can play. I think multiplayer. If this was the NES one, I could see them getting away with this kind of garbage, but I mean, there's already been like at least 2 Bomberman games before this game came out, so I don't understand why the fuck it looks so bad. And then this one, I don't understand. The Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. This is now mind you, this is like the greatest hits version, right? Like how they do those. But why would you have literally the box as the picture on the box?
Take the art, okay? Take the box away. Leave the art. Problem solved.
Put the Konami's best. Scooch down the words Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. But what the hell is this? Boxception?
You don't care anymore.
They even have the T rating and Konami on there twice. How do you fuck that up?
You just don't care anymore. It's like, whatever.
It's just the box. It's a picture of the box on the box.
It's so bad.
And then Columns 2, which this one would be fine if you didn't have fucking Dickhole Harry there standing on the top, like badly photoshopped on top of the of the pile of diamonds or jewels, and he's just like, I got the jewels. Like, it's so bad, man.
So bad.
And they had to choose like a balding guy that's still growing his hair out for some reason. And then you got, this is the most 90s box art of all time. Dangerous Streets. Like, look at that.
Dangerous.
This looks dangerous. Like Rob Liefeld drew it. Like the guy that put tits on Captain America. It looks like he drew it. And then there were so many beat 'em up games that had that, where like that guy in the foreground who's like he got kicked in the face and is dying towards the cameraman. There were so many games in the 90s that had that. I just had to add this one because of how 90s it is. Like, look at that thong, man. That is going to the shadow realm.
The tong.
And then this this one always boggled my mind as a kid. Dragon Power. What this is actually... Yes, Vector, you're right. Streets of Rage 2's box art was exactly like that. Like, all the beat-em-up games had that guy, like, falling towards the camera. Right. But Dragon Power, this one always boggled my mind as a kid. Dragon Power came out when Dragon Ball was just starting to get really big. Like, Dragon Ball Z was starting to get big. But this was a Dragon Ball game, but for whatever reason, they just rebranded it as a generic game.
They're like, you know what? We're good without the source material.
Yeah, I don't know why they did this, but they edited some things, which makes sense. Like, in the original game, this part doesn't kind of make sense, but in the original version of this game, to make Goku go like super fast, like he can run real fast, you collect panties. And, like, obviously they don't want kids picking up panties, right? But all they did was flip the sprite upside down. It looks like a pile of cocaine. It looks like a powder. I always called it cocaine when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager. It's supposed to be a sandwich, like, you know how you can cut the triangles in the sandwich? They call it a sandwich in the manual. But it looked like freaking cocaine, and we always called it cocaine when we were kids. But, like, look at that. Generic karate guy doing a drop. You could have sold this game so much better. If you called it Dragon Ball, which is what it was, the whole, like, the Turtle Hermit's in the game. They just call him Turtle Hermit instead of Master Roshi. Bulma, like, oh my god, why?
Yeah, they really screwed up there.
We talked about all the Dragon Warrior ones. I'll just kind of, I guess, flash some of them on the screen quick here. That's Dragon Quest III, which was super good. And then you had Dragon Quest I, really good box art there.
Yep.
Two was the only one that I wasn't really real big on for the Japanese one, but the North American one looked great. The only problem with doing this is all of them are like different sizes.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and then this is that Dragon Warrior 4 one that we were talking about that looked so good with that sword. But moving on to the newer stuff, or the other stuff, we have Druid, like the bad stuff. Like, what the fuck is happening in this picture, man? Demons of the mind. You got, like, generic tough guy, but he's, like, his head is, like, 80 times bigger than the rest of his body.
There's a lot of really bad decisions. Probably a lot of drugs happening.
I think so. Like, is that supposed to be, like, generic cock Stonehenge? Like, that's kind of what it looks like. Like, he's just surrounded by, like, phalluses. And his hand is like this, and he's got like that little axe back here. But the axe looks like it's 20 feet away, and his hand looks like it's up close. I don't understand, man. Some of this box art. And then, of course, my favorite toilet humor box art cover, Eric and the Floaters. What the heck is this?
There's... I don't know. There's so many bad ones out there, and I would recommend, I would honestly just recommend you just go and take a look out there. There's a lot of different kind of collections that are like, here's the top 10 worst of all time.
Yeah, there's so many, so much bad box art, man. Oh my god. Even titles are bad. Like Irritating Stick. What the fuck is that? What is
I think we need to do a spin-off of this episode of just how did these games get made?
No shit, man.
How did this happen? What happened in order to make this
there's actually a really good series on YouTube. You can check it out. It's called What Happened, and it talks about like why all these games are so bad. Like they did one, I watched the one on Castlevania 64, and basically they were told to make this Castlevania game, but all their main resources were going to Symphony of the Night because they were being made at the same time, right? And they had all these ideas because Castlevania at this time had not had a dud. Like, as much as people talk about Simon's Quest now as not being good, people loved it back then. They still liked it like quite a bit. It was really hard because you didn't know where to go, but people still loved the game.
That's right.
and they had all these ideas and ambitions for Castlevania 64, and basically they started working on it before Ocarina of Time came out, and they were kind of wanting to do the same thing with it, like this big open freaking world and stuff like that, but they didn't know how to do it yet. And they ended up they had all these ideas, they had parts of content created for it, and they were like, look man, we already blew past our release date twice, so what we're going to do is we're going to release half the game now, and we'll just keep making it. And that's why they call it an expansion, Legacy of Darkness. Right. But it's like there's two Castlevania games on the 64, and one is like half the game and the other is the other half of the game with like chunks removed, and it's just it's so bad. But they explain that's basically why it happened. It's a good series. Right. I recommend anybody check it out.
Totally. Yeah. Well, Duke, I'm sorry, but I do have to wrap on this side here and get on going. I think we needed to do one on how did these games get made.
Yeah, like just bad games in good series. That's definitely right. An episode we should do. But thanks a lot, guys, for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Again, you can check it out if you miss it here on Twitch. You can check it out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dukey03. And of course, you can catch both of us on Twitch live. A couple, probably like 3 nights a week. How many nights a week are you live? I'm usually 3.
But it depends. 3 or 4. Depends on the week.
I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dukey03.
And I'm on twitch.tv/DG online.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. You can also check this out on Spotify. So if you search Relaxed Retro Talk on Spotify, we will come up. You guys have a great week. I hope you guys had a great Christmas and great New Year's. And we'll see you guys later.
See you later. Have a good one.